Welcome to Keyboarding Online's Real Skills presentation. We work with thousands of teachers annually, and the most common questions that are asked of us are why, when, and how should we teach keyboarding skills? In their guide on keyboarding strategies, the National Business Education Association writes, "Keyboarding is now one of the fundamental life skills for today's technological age. Thus, it is important for all students." So that is what we are going to cover in the presentation. First, why do we need to teach keyboarding and the common misconceptions teachers often have about keyboarding? At what age should keyboarding be taught? How to teach and motivate your students, including the fun and exciting nickel test. Advantages and disadvantages of online software. And lastly, how to stop the dreaded hunting and pecking, even when it has been perfected. First question, why teach keyboarding? Is it even important? This question is usually asked because of at least one of three common misconceptions we often hear. First comes from a presenter at a state conference in 2002, in which he states that voice recognition will render the keyboard obsolete in 10 years. Obviously, this didn't come true. But this is often echoed by many teachers who wonder, are we even going to need to know how to keyboard in the future? Let me reassure you, keyboards will be around for a long time. Now, the physicality of it may change. It may go from a piece of hardware to being virtually projected on your desk or in the air in the next 50 or 100 years. But it is unrealistic to think that we will soon not need to know how to keyboard, at least for the next several hundred years. And let me tell you why. In order for this misconception to be true, there are several assumptions that must be made. First, voice recognition software would have to mature into the perfect product and become Star Trek-like. Now, anybody who has used a voice recognition software will agree that though improvements have been made, this is far from a reality. Second, the software would have to have no problems recognizing different accents from around the country or even world, slurred speech when you are sick, or simply sounds that are sometimes misarticulated. Just ask a speech-language pathologist how often that occurs. And it occurs inconsistently, making it virtually impossible for a computer to know exactly what the speaker actually meant. Thirdly, no training would be needed. The software would instantly recognize and adapt to the speech characteristics of any person that sits down at any given computer. Fourth, it would have to be installed on every computer everywhere. Just imagine if a student today decided to not learn keyboarding because they purchased a voice recognition software. That student would probably feel handicapped everywhere he or she went, whether that be to school, at work, the library, at a friend's house using their computer. All of those computers would have to have voice recognition software installed for that student to feel comfortable not knowing how to keyboard. Lastly, voice recognition software would have to master shortcuts and enhancements to make speaking faster than typing. Ask anyone working in the field of technology, web development, computer programming, design, engineering, and they will tell you that the keyboard is their best friend. Those are the jobs of the future, and if they had to speak out every command versus using the keyboard and shortcut keys, it would more than triple to quadruple their time to complete a simple task. They just simply wouldn't do it. Now, if any one of these assumptions is not accurate, then the keyboard will still be the most efficient way to go for generations to come. Furthermore, think of all the problems this would cause if keyboards were non-existent. Imagine a workplace where everyone is speaking all of their emails, reports, notes. Not only would this be extremely annoying, but just the privacy and confidentiality factor. Have you ever tried to type a report or email while someone is staring over your shoulder? That's how it would be all the time as you publicly announce every word you are writing. Not to mention the privacy factor of speaking out all of your login passwords and private information, or when taking tests. The GED and other standardized testing across the nation will soon be completed entirely on the computer. Every single test taker would have to be provided with their own soundproof room for every test. It just simply is not realistic. What about multitasking? Every time you go to the bank, call a business to place an order or schedule an appointment, talk to tech support or customer service, it would have to go something like, "Now, ma'am, Can you please hold on what you are saying for a moment and not listen while I repeat back to the computer what you just told me? It would be a nightmare for both the customer and the employee. All social etiquette would simply be ruined anytime you write on a computer or mobile device and other people are around. The second common misconception we hear is that kids these days are learning computers and keyboarding on their own at such an early age that they really don't need to learn it at school. Now, this is partly true. Kids are using computers at an earlier age, which means we need to start sooner rather than later to teach proper keyboarding. Because the problem is when they learn it on their own, they develop bad habits that cut down and limit their typing speed capacity. We've seen that keyboarders who hunt and peck can usually barely type 25 to 30 words per minute at best, and their accuracy as they try to speed up gets atrocious as they do not have the ability to touch type, versus keyboarders with proper technique commonly get 60 to 70 words per minute with ease. Students need to be taught early on before they form these bad habits. Which brings us to our last misconception. Once bad habits are formed, they are impossible to break. Teachers can feel this way if they are using a program that does not have methods in place that prevent and break bad habits. Without these methods, many keyboarding exercises and programs can actually reinforce bad habits. With the proper tools, however, hunting and pecking can be broken, which we'll go over exactly how in a few slides here. So why teach keyboarding? To sum it up in one word, productivity. Keyboarding skills allow American workers to substantially increase productivity, thereby commanding higher wages and better benefits. In an article about the effects of globalization and outsourcing on service jobs, Barry P. Bosworth, a senior fellow in economic studies at the Brookings Institution, argues that in order for America to keep up with the rest of the world in the fastest growing service fields, workers must master at least 4 skills, 2 of which are computer literacy and typing. He then argues that even though these types of services account for 80%, not nearly that percentage of high schools are requiring courses in typing and computer science. In other words, in order for students to prepare to be successful in today's workforce, it is imperative that they learn how to be effective on the computer and keyboard efficiently. When should keyboarding be taught, and when is the ideal age to start teaching keyboarding? In our experience with thousands of elementary schools, a general consensus of the ideal starting age is around 3rd grade. However, according to Keyboarding Strategies Guide by the National Business Education Association, students should be introduced to keyboarding even as early as 1st to 2nd grade. Unfortunately, however, so few schools include keyboarding as part of their core curriculum, resulting in a large percentage of students in middle schools, high schools, and even colleges that are in dire need of keyboarding skills. But the good news is it's never too late. Like we mentioned earlier, even if students are older and have developed bad habits, it is definitely possible to break bad habits. In a couple of slides, we will show you how our program is 100% effective in breaking hunting and pecking and forces students to learn the correct way to keyboard. Even for those students who have had proper keyboarding instruction at an earlier age, it's critical to push them to a higher level when they are older. For example, Keyboarding Online has programs designed for every level of education. Keyboarding for Kids is designed to get elementary students to be able to type around 30 words per minute or more. Keyboard Short Course and Keyboard Master are designed to help students ranging from middle school to even college to get around 45 to 60 words per minute, even with little to no keyboarding experience. Skill Building Mastery is designed for experienced keyboarders, such as college students and adults who want to improve their typing speed to go beyond 60, 70, and even 80 words per minute and better. And we also have 10-Key Mastery, which is great for students who want to excel in clerical and data entry jobs. The next important question we are frequently asked is, how do I teach students to keyboard correctly, or what is the best way to implement a keyboarding curriculum? First and foremost, you want to be able to instill in your students a desire to master keyboarding. The key to motivation is for students to understand how important and beneficial it is for them specifically. Start by asking something like, what if I told you that you could create things on your computer better and faster than you do now? This quarter, you get to improve your skills so you can do just that. You can then have students share examples of people they know who can type well and then brainstorm as a class why and when that is beneficial. The point is, students in your class should be able to answer to themselves the question, why are we doing this? Students master proper keyboarding techniques through frequent and consistent reinforcement. Keyboarding is about cognitive training, developing muscle memory and motor skills through repetition. This cognitive training develops fastest through frequency, not by long extended periods of time. For example, 4 15-minute sessions is far more effective than one 60-minute session. In fact, we suggest that for elementary students, practices should be no more than 20 minutes of actual typing time, while higher grades can practice a little longer. Students are best motivated when they see their progress. For example, we tell our teachers to have the students first do what's called the course entry timing. This is like the pretest and allows students to benchmark their progress and see their improvement, especially at the very end when they take the course exit. Once students complete the course entry, teachers can adjust the program to meet the student's ability, and students can move through the lessons from there at their own pace. Students are also able to access the program from home for continued practice for students who are absent. The last suggestion we give to teachers as a fun way to motivate their students is to have the students do what we call the nickel test. This is a way to assess if the students are using correct technique and posture that is taught in our program. Teachers first have the kids watch our video entitled The 6 Secret Techniques to Successful Keyboarding, which is found on our website under Student Tools Video Tutorials. Then, to practice what they learned, teachers have the students place a nickel between their first 2 knuckles and their wrist, and then try and type without letting the nickel fall off. To make things even more fun, some teachers have used M&Ms or Skittles, and if the candy falls off, then the students don't get to eat it. Otherwise, they get to indulge themselves for each timing they complete. Probably the most frequently asked question, however, is how do you prevent and even break hunting and pecking? Like I mentioned earlier, this problem can be especially frustrating for teachers because if not done properly, keyboarding exercises can actually reinforce hunting and pecking, doing more damage than good. So before we explain how to prevent and break these bad habits, let me quickly explain how hunting and pecking works. Students who hunt and peck typically first take a few seconds to memorize several words or an entire sentence at a time. They then match what they memorized with what they have already typed. Next, they hunt for the keys and peck with 2 or 3 fingers per hand. And lastly, they compare what they meant to type with what was actually typed and make corrections as necessary, and then start right back over. Students can get very efficient at this and even get up to 30 words per minute, but will never be able to achieve proficiently high speed. So the first thing you have to do to prevent and break hunting and pecking is to break the habit of unnecessarily looking back and forth from the text the student is supposed to be typing to what they are actually typing, as well as down at the keyboard. When students develop this habit, they never learn to trust their fingers. With keyboarding online, we have patented methods called the blackout timing view. When students begin to type, their screen will gray out, causing students to lose their place if they look down at their hands or try to match and compare the text to what they've actually typed. This trains students to keep their eyes on the text and trust their fingers. The second part to breaking hunting and pecking is to eliminate the habit of memorizing several words at a time before staring down at the keyboard as they hunt and peck around. With this damaging technique, students might be able to type 40 or so words per minute for short stretches while they are staring down at the keyboard, but have to pause for 3 to 5 seconds in between, averaging their actual words per minute to be around 20 to 25. With keyboarding online, we have a second patented method called the timer timeout, in which the timer is reset if the student pauses for more than a couple seconds between keystrokes. This alert pops up, forcing the student to start over with no score recorded. So by forcing students to keep their eyes on the text and trust their fingers, as well as have smooth, consistent typing, these two patented methods work together to completely break hunting and pecking. And the most important question of them all, why choose Keyboarding Online? Just a little bit about Keyboarding Online. We have been in the business of keyboarding programs for over 20 years, and we have it down to an art. We were one of the first to go online back in 2003 because of the countless benefits it provides to students and teachers. First of all, you don't have to deal with installing, updating, or maintenance. We do all of that for you on our servers. No papers or textbooks required. We do have a book-based version if you prefer. However, everything is automatically graded and accessed online. The program can be accessed anywhere. So you as a teacher can check up on how your students are doing at home or while on vacation. Students can continue to practice at home and outside of class. And it's cross-browser and OS compatible, which means it works the same if you're using a Mac or a Windows computer, or you can use different web browsers like Internet Explorer, or Firefox, or Chrome. Keyboarding Online also provides you with a complete program curriculum package. We have everything you need to run an efficient and effective keyboarding class. One thing you might have to worry with other online programs is the bandwidth usage. Keyboarding Online, however, uses Java, causing it to be extremely efficient and lightweight, meaning no matter how large your class is, you aren't going to notice any kind of lag in the program if they are all logged in at once. And, of course, Keyboarding Online is the only program with the patented blackout view and timer timeout methods that are proven to completely break hunting and pecking. Now, with all of that being said, if you are ready to start teaching keyboarding at your school, you can sign up for a free trial on our website at keyboardingonline.com. It's extremely easy to set up. In fact, you can even sign up for one of our one-on-one product training where we help you create your classes and understand all the features. You get 60 days of full access to the program, and there's no limit to how many students or teachers have access. So you could have your entire school use the program free for 2 months. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us through our website or using the information listed on the slide. Thank you and happy typing.